Hello.
Hi.
Hi, guys. It's the 23rd of July. It is day 125 of our lockdown. How are you doing? I am a bit shattered. As predicted, I am not in the habit of working many hours sort of straight, and today I was very, very tired. I have still managed to be quite productive in a way, but I didn't go in, but I am going back in tomorrow. And yeah, just lots of admin bits that I had to do today, but I did get them done. Um, but yeah, it feels weird. I'm not used to it. I do genuinely have to sort of get back in the swing. So yeah, kind of a bit worried that I've got quite a lot on my plate now. But on nicer news, though, I actually had my first person sort of pick a time slot and ask to book it today. So I haven't been able to 100% confirm it, so I haven't taken any money off them because I can't absolutely 100% confirm what day we can open from. But they don't want it till later in August anyway, which by then we should be open. Because it's only the 23rd today, and I think they want it for around about the 20th. So fingers crossed, we should be fine to open by then. But I couldn't 100% confirm, so we will see. But yeah, so I'm back at the grindstone tomorrow. How are you doing today?
I'm alright. I've had quite a chilled day, haven't I? What have I done? I read a bit, took the dog for a walk. Um, Ford the cat has been particularly playful today.
He's been lovely today,
He's been
hasn't
lovely
he?
boy.
Yeah. Like it was cute, but actually, he was when he was a kitten. He was a very, very soppy kitten, incredibly soppy kitten, and like used to let me sort of he'd fall asleep in your lap, and then you could just carry him to bed like a baby. And he sort of hit his like surly teenage phase, and has been a bit like, all right, yeah, get off, get off. But today he's been all over us. I've been letting me get all up in his grill, and but yeah, I go just while I was running a bath earlier because, as I say, I was quite sore, as I thought I would be. So as the bath was running, I went into the back bedroom where he was sleeping on the bed, and I sort of just put my face right up to his face, basically, with a "Hello, little man, how are you doing?" And he was so he leaned forward and kept licking my nose, which was really adorable. Until the moment where he did a big wet sneeze right into my eye. Um, oh, there's another one thinking about joining us up here now. Hang on.
He looks.
This is.
I don't know what he's intrigued by.
I don't know what he's up
Something
to.
has got his attention.
There is a cat standing on his back legs just off camera, and it's quite distracting. You must be able to see like a little fly or something. Oh, Chris has left us apparently. So yeah, but yeah, he's been quite a cutchy, quite a lovely boy today. Um, this is very distracting. What are you doing?
Okay.
No, not you, Arthur. So Arthur is just sat by us now, being a bit odd. So yeah, he's been a cutchy, lovely pile of nonsense, and that's been nice. But yeah, I've been a bit lackluster today. But I think it's just sort of a bit tired and a bit sore. And yeah, over the next few days, I've got some quite busy days. So this leads us to quite a sort of monumental point in time. But yeah, as I said, I'm going into work tomorrow. And I'm not going in tomorrow until sort of mid-afternoon, so we can film a vlog before then. But Saturday, I'm actually heading down to Swansea to see my friend, who I haven't been able to see through all of lockdown. And I'm kind of reliant, because I don't want to use public transport, I'm kind of reliant on the lifts I can get there and back. And these guys are going for a whole day. Can you grab that, please, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, there's a cat playing with leads that are next to the computer, but the computer is like a small little desktop thing that was starting to move off the desk there.
Like,
that's not what you want.
Not ideal. Like, how has this not happened when we're out of the room and we've just come back to a computer crashed on the floor?
I don't know. I might pause this just for a second. Be back in a sec, guys. We're back. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, Cat was about to cause himself quite the mischief. What was I saying?
You were talking about how your
right.
public
Yes.
transport
So Swansea. Yes, heading down to Swansea. So I'm kind of reliant on my driver. And it's going to be a whole day thing, and it is going to be glasses of wine in the evenings thing. So I don't know when I'm going to be able to film a vlog that day. And we kind of said sort of when we were back in work, that might be the point at which we change to our new schedule, which we haven't actually set. But I think that time has dawned. I think that time is upon us. So I think tomorrow's vlog will be the last of the daily ones.
Oh,
And
it's the end of
then,
an era.
yeah, it really is. And then we're probably gonna, well, we're gonna start initially of maybe like 3 a week and see how we go. Down the line, we might get a Patreon and it'll be 2 for everybody and 1 for our special guests. But I would like to maybe do, not weekly, but regular, maybe like once a month or once a fortnight, the live vlogs, because they were super fun. And we can do them on YouTube now, which we couldn't the first time we did that. So that would be really fun to do. So maybe actually if we go forward, they'll be slightly more organised and we will have slightly more sort of like a set time, and we will maybe sort of hit some points that we mean to rather than waffling. But because I imagine over the course of a week, there's going to be lots of things to talk about, and it's going to be wondering about what makes the cut.
Yeah. Well, maybe we do. I don't know if we're only doing 3 a week, but we do slightly longer ones.
I don't know.
And then people can listen to them in chunks if they want. They don't have to listen to them all in one go or watch them all in one go.
I guess.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see.
Depends how much stuff we need to cram in, I guess.
Well, we don't really know, and I think it's going to be a case of learn as we go, like we did with all of this. So, but yeah, I just can't promise myself every day anymore because I don't have the time in the day now.
And it's not the same if it's not both of us.
No, that's kind of you to say.
No, it isn't though, is it? It's, I mean, you know, we have occasionally done ones where it's just one or other of us.
Yeah, I think the main appeal is the sort of us two chatting about things. I think that works best. Kind of open to suggestion or comments on that. But yeah, I think we're gonna head to 3 a week. And see how we do with that, because it may be that actually that's manageable. It may be that that's still too hard. Because, obviously we're not actually open yet. So there's a lot of work to do at the moment to get us ready to open. But actually when we are open, because we don't know sort of how long we're going to be able to earn money for and have people in, because there is always the potential for further lockdowns down the line, we have actually opened additional hours, and I'm going to try and cram more hours into the week. So I'm going to be a busy bee.
Yeah.
So that's going to be good, and I hope obviously it takes off. It may be that it's really quiet because people just don't have money or don't want to like get out. I don't know. We'll have to see. But judging by how many people we've seen in pubs, I think hopefully there will be enough of a market for people who want to come to escape rooms. Fingers crossed. But I'm going to really miss doing these every day. I really loved doing them. They've been really really good way of sort of documenting our lockdown experience, and I'm glad we've got these basically forever to look back on.
It feels quite sudden actually, because we'd always sort of talked about when we go back to work, but it was only just sort of, you sort of mentioned earlier, I'm not sure how we're going to do Saturday.
Well, it did kind of dawned on me. I was just like, that's going to happen more and more often now.
Or maybe I'm going to have to do one. And it was only just before we sat down to record this, you were sort of like, well, I guess maybe that's the
cut-off.
Yeah.
I don't know, because we do need to, and like I think I originally sort of thought it would be when we're both back in work, but actually I sort of the one who does the blurb writing on these, and actually just physically having the time when we're both here in the house at the same time to do them. Maybe the first day where I don't have that is a good enough landmark as any, but I don't know. Maybe we'll all be up in arms and uproar, and we'll see. But we might just have to be a bit flexible over the next few weeks. They may not be coming every day anymore.
I still don't have any work, so hey, if you want to book me for your drive-in comedy show, I've been trying to help out you as best I can.
Yeah, you've been very good.
Trying.
And it's a bit. It has sort of come quite sudden, which is mad when you sort of think how long we've sort of known it's been on the horizon, but it's not really felt like it's been worth going into work and prepping it for when people come back if you don't know when people are going to be coming back, because actually by the time you've left it you're going to need to like re-clean because it all gets dusty, and it's a sort of you kind of need to have a deadline in mind to get any of that stuff done. But now that it's sort of happening, it's kind of it's happening now. We kind of do need to go quite hard and heavy, I think, because there is always, I think, like I've mentioned it a few times, but I think with like leisure industry type businesses, so pubs, bars, restaurants, gyms, those sorts of things, they were the first ones to be sort of cancelled, and I think that's going to be the same this time around, if they do sort of go, oh, we don't have to go into like full lockdown, but even if it's just on a local basis, it might be like, oh no, sorry, all restaurants, pubs, bars, leisure activities, indoor leisure activities are going to have to stop for now. So I kind of need to sort of go quite intense while we can, and just kind of build up a bit of a pot if we can, because yeah, this year has entirely depleted any savings that we had basically. But we are lucky that we're still able to run. So like we've done well, and I'm pleased. But yeah, it's basically put all of our growth plans for the year on pause, and actually quite a lot of the stuff that we worked towards last year, we now have to do a rework, because obviously the room is not COVID safe. We did not think of the potential global pandemic. But it could be a lot worse, and I'm not complaining, because actually we're in a better position than a lot of companies. So I will take it with both hands and run with it. But yeah, it's just sort of did kind of mess up the 5-year plan, sort of forecasts and things a little bit. But here we are, we're opening. We're still here, we've still got stuff to do, and hopefully people will still want to come. So yeah, watch this space on that. But yeah, we've just got to get it going now. But yeah, it's a very weird feeling. I'm quite sort of optimistic, but then daunted, but also a bit overwhelmed.
You've got a couple of friends of mine coming, haven't you, just to kind of do a trial run, get you back up to speed at running games
Monday
and things,
night. So that means I've got tomorrow, and as I say, I'm in Swansea on Saturday, so I've got tomorrow and Sunday to basically get it ready. Now that, like, there may be one or two things that won't be quite sort of ready for customers level, but they'll be fine and safe. It'll just be that we kind of want to sort of make the waiting area, that because previously used to sort of actually come into the escape rooms and there was sort of just dead space outside, but the dead space outside is much bigger, so you can socially distance in it better, so we're turning that sort of into the like reception / waiting area. That won't be there ready for Monday, but that won't matter. But yeah, just as long as they can come, do the hand sanitizer and all that bits and bobs, and we can actually run the games safely. So I've got quite a lot to do between now and Monday night. So actually all day Sunday I suspect, and all day Monday I suspect I'm going to be in work. So I don't know how I would have done vlogs on those days either anyway. So maybe Saturday is a good sort of turning point. Maybe we don't
get one till like Tuesday or something.
Well, I might be able to do it. Well, yeah, maybe Tuesday. I don't know. Like, this is what I mean. This is all kind of snuck up on me. Yeah. And you're in I feel bad because you're in a different position because you're still off. So you're like, well, I could still do it, but I can't. Well, I'm not here. Like, so yeah.
But on the other hand, I don't have to be running around prepping an escape room, do I? So
no.
It swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
I thought I'd be a bit more helpful around the house, given that you're not going to be here and things. I made a crumble today.
I had crumble for breakfast. How decadent is that?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that counts as helpful around the house, given the amount of washing up it created.
But, very nice.
But I did some hoovering today as well. And things.
You did. I heard you. Well, I was having a soak in the bath, and that was much appreciated also.
Just trying to sort of, because I think like a lot of people, we've kind of been in furlough or off work or whatever, and there's that thing of going, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Give yourselves a break to kind of, this is a weird time, and don't feel like you're seeing everyone on social media making their banana bread and learning instruments and don't feel like you have to compete or you have to achieve loads during this time. Like that was the message that was kind of the mental health thing that everyone was kind of saying. But now you do get to a point where it's like you have to kind of eventually start. Yeah,
at some point we've got to live again and actually it's sort of. I guess it's the hideous phrase that I hate, but it's doing the rounds. But I guess it's now adjusting to the new normal. Now it's like, well, it isn't going to go back to how it was before, maybe ever. So at some point it's like, okay, I need to get out of this is unusual circumstances and into this is how it is now. And maybe it's going to be sort of into... Oh, sorry, I've just kicked the table, which has made you wobble. In terms of sort of business strategy, maybe it's just going to mean that you just kind of have to be super flexible and maybe just sort of have a slightly more intensive plan to be like, right, okay, we've not only just got to open, we've got to get as many people through the door while we're allowed to be open, because we don't know when that rug's going to be pulled out from under us. Because realistically, I think even with sort of fluctuating lockdown measures, we are going to have subsequent waves of this. The only thing I will hope is that maybe we'll be better equipped for them and they won't be as disruptive as the first one. But that remains to be seen. It depends on the intensity of it, and I think that's only going to get harder as people get more relaxed.
I tell you what, though, if we have another lockdown, say next year or something, well, we won't have to worry so hard about protecting the NHS because that'll be Trump's responsibility, won't it?
Yeah, you'll have to worry about that.
He'll be in charge of it then.
Oh, don't honestly. Well, this actually sort of leads me on to something I wanted to talk about. There's been so many big news stories in the last few days, and I just don't have it in me to deal with them. So people start talking about them, and I just have to go, no, I can't, because I'm just so angry and sad and confused and lots of negative emotions. And because I'm also trying to sort of gear myself back up to being productive and do all of that, I can't take the weight of it on because it's too wobbly. It's too wobbly making. One news, so I'm not going to talk about sort of the international news because there's some crazy stuff coming in out of America again. There's some very interesting and depressing, what are you doing, stuff that has come out of we've finally seen the Russia report, the Russia intelligence report about interfering with both the election and the referendum. And all of those things are things that under normal circumstances I would be all over talking about. And I don't want anybody watching this to think I'm oblivious. I'm not. I just can't handle going into the details and getting into them right now because I need to just be like looking the 2 steps ahead of where my feet are right now and just keeping on putting one leg in front of the other and just keeping on going. So there is a bit of self-preservation going on there, and actually it's happened socially as well. There've been like sort of a few groups of friends or group chats or things that I've just sort of been like, do you know, I like, with the best will in the world, guys, this is too much for me right now. Like, and not necessarily anybody's doing anything bad, but actually there's one group chat that I've sort of had to mute just because there's so much chat in it, and I look at my phone and then there's like 50 notifications, and because I'm a little bit OCD, I can't just ignore them. I have to go back up and read them all. So I've just had to be like, oh guys, I'm just having to let you know, don't tag me, don't talk I'm not reading these, so that people don't sort of expect me to know stuff that's been said in there. And yeah, just sort of, it is all, like, that sounds like quite a little thing, but it's just when it feels like there's so much of it going on that I just sort of, I'm already just on the edge of feeling like this is all a bit overwhelming and I don't know if I've got the energy for it. And with that in mind, also, obviously, I haven't had to use my energy reserves for a long time. And in one way, that's been a great, like, restful time for me to sort of recharge sort of my energy levels sort of from fibro stuff, but it does mean that I'm literally not used to it.
So out of the habit of
I'm
actually
out of
managing
the habit
your
of it,
energy levels and things.
And like, also, so yesterday I was sort of like powering on through, and then I realised sort of, I knew I was doing it at the time, but I just sort of thought, well, I've been able to sort of work these many hours through, but actually realistically I can't. Actually, that's one of the sort of things that occasionally can pull a long shift, but I can't habitually pull a long shift. So yesterday was only about 5 hours in work, and then actually I was carrying on doing some stuff here, but that was sort of like stuff I could do like paperwork wise in front of the telly. But I just don't have the energy reserves to do long days every day. And also, this isn't like a normal shift. This is all busy, moving, cleaning, like physical stuff, whereas at least in a normal escape room shift, parts of it are very energetic because you're rushing around trying to reset a room in between games, and that's very like sort of high energy. But during an actual game, you're sitting down, you're watching the game, and you're just kind of interacting with it, so actually that's not too physically demanding. So I think the punctuation of a day is okay, so if the rests are built in, whereas what I'm doing at the moment is just sort of relentless doing of stuff, and I need to sort of manage that. And yeah, it's a bit like I'm feeling a little bit fragile now that I've started talking about it, because I think I'm just sort of getting a bit like, oh, it's quite a lot to do, but I just have to remember that I'm not actually the only member of the team, and I have got other team members that I can ask to do things, but I'm not very good at delegating. Quite like to just do stuff myself, because then it'll be done properly. But that's...
Well, she looked at me when she said that. I felt like a dig.
No, it
I'm
wasn't.
not even paid. I'm not even paid. I've been
No,
helping
I don't
out.
mean escape room stuff anyway. No, but yeah, like no, I don't mean you for that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm just not. I'm a bit of a control freak. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I like things done the way I like things done, which is my own problem, basically. But it does mean that yeah, I'm sort of looking at the sort of to-do list, which the more you do, the more it's just changing the things that are on the to-do list. It's not getting any shorter. But it's good to be reopening and it's good to be in this boat. So I'm not complaining, but yeah, I'm just sort of realizing by talking it through, because you guys are all essentially our therapists, by the way, that I'm just, yeah, feeling a bit daunted and a bit sort of like, oh, this is quite a
The
lot.
other thing is, you mentioned that conversation where you're getting lots of messages. It's nothing bad, but it's just a lot. And I think that's another thing that's changing with you going back to work is like our days have been quite fluid and flexible, and you can kind of deal with things as they come at you, be it messages from friends or kind of calls or whatever it might be, and we can like choose to do what we're in the mood for. We can do this in late at night, we can do this earlier in the day, get it done, whatever it might be, we're flexible. And you know, so it's not so bad if you're getting an occasional message because you just look at your phone and put it down and crack on with your day. But to suddenly be like, right, I've got work, so I can't look at my phone, so I've got to concentrate. And then when you do finish and you're like, oh, I've got all these
yeah, well, that was
messages.
actually happening yesterday when I was in work, because I was using my phone to listen to music while I was getting stuff done. But yeah, because it was using my phone to sort of do the Bluetooth speakers, every time I got a notification, I was hearing it, and then I had to sort of, because I'm so used to just hearing the notification and looking at my phone, but I had to sort of just go, I've just got to ignore them. And so I told anybody that was in sort of any of those chats, like, I'm at work, so if I don't answer, it's because I'm at work. But I'm out of all of those habits.
Well, I know in my day job, my lunch when I'm there is half an hour, and that can be pretty quickly eaten up. You think, right, well, I'll go and I'll read a book or I'll watch something on my phone or whatever. And then by the time you've actually you've checked your messages and replied to anything that needs replying to, any emails, and it's only going, oh, that's really eaten into my. Now I've got about 5 minutes to sort of read a book or watch something, and then it's back to the.
Well.
So I could see your mood dipping as I was saying.
No, no, it's fine. No, it is good. And honestly, like yesterday when I came home, I did feel really good about it. And I don't want it to come across like I'm not like happy to be back at work, but it is just, this is a bit of an adjustment period, and bit disheartening how tired I am today and how sore I am today, because it's sort of like, well, that doesn't bode well, because I'm gonna have to pull in a lot more of these days before we're even open, and then that's not like I can rest then because we'll be open. But it's good. It's a good position to be in, because at least we can open, and at least there will be money coming in, because we can't indefinitely just stay closed and expect sort of to not have to pay rent and to not have to pay bills and to actually have a business to go back to. So I'd rather this be the case than anything else. But yeah, it's just realizing quite how much we've bitten off. Have I bitten off too much more than I can chew? But I don't think I have. I've done this before. We've launched it before, and it's nearer ready than it was when we started. So I think I'm just daunted. But yeah, I'll leave that there. But I did say I don't really want to talk about new stuff, and I don't. But there is one thing that I think I should mention, and that's only a small thing, and it could only be just a little blip, but it's part of the reason I think I'm feeling quite panicked about getting open as soon as we can and getting people through the door as soon as I can, is because it's just a tiny little blip, potentially. It's nothing proven in the stats yet. I don't know what that was. Nothing quite proven in the stats yet, but today, interestingly, about 10 days after pubs opened outdoors in Wales, because they opened on the 13th, and it is the 23rd today, that's how that works. Today, the numbers of new cases of coronavirus in Wales doubled on yesterday's, and they're actually the highest they've been in several weeks. There's 43 new cases in Wales, which, like, when you look at sort of the numbers globally, that's nothing. But actually, Wales's numbers have been so good for so long that could be significant. And that's a bit daunting. But I do feel there is this fatigue of lockdown, and a lot of people I know are acting like it's over. And that in itself, like, I think it sends such mixed signals that we're still technically not allowed to mix indoors with other households at all, except your bubbled household. Um, and still, at the moment in Wales, outdoors, you're only supposed to be mixing two households. Now, I think largely that's fallen by the wayside because it's different rules in England, and I think people are going, well, in England it's up to 6 people, it doesn't matter how many households, whereas here it's like, doesn't matter how many people, but it can only be two households, and that kind of thing. But it's sort of,
Well,
when people can go and all meet inside in the pub, it sort of feels, because that's on the approach, that's coming like on the 3rd, it sort of feels like, well, what's the difference between meeting, because to be honest, it's got to be safer to meet one group of people that you regularly meet, just them indoors in an entirely controllable environment, than somewhere like a pub where everybody is
there's
coming and
loads of
going.
strangers passing through.
But I'm guessing that's an economic decision rather than a sort of well-being one, because I personally would much rather just have a few friends over here than go to the pub. Indoors over here, so the weather doesn't matter and you don't have to be contemplating things like, oh, I would like to have people over, but as long as it's not raining, because otherwise you're going to have to chip it off. So yeah, it just kind of feels a bit counterintuitive. And the fact that like England's pubs are already open indoors, and knowing that, and because that's sort of the news that we see and the newspapers we see are all UK based, it started to just creep into the conscious. Like, people are, I've heard people say, like, now that lockdown's over, and I'm like, it's not though, is it? Like, there are a lot of businesses that still aren't open, and like, it's sort of like, I don't know. I think people are relaxing more and more, and if that's because we're getting better control of everything, and it's like the measures that we are taking are working, then fine. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm really not entirely comfortable about the path we're going down, and I sort of feel like going into them like late summer, it sort of feels like it's lining us up for a nice little autumn winter second wave. But because the longer time goes on, the more people are going to be lax with their like hand washing and wearing the masks and all of that stuff, I think, because people are already relaxing.
Well, we've talked sort of previously on here about how even though the government might say, well, we're going to open up this or we're going to do the other, we still might go, well, let's follow the science, and we're still a bit reluctant about something because just because the government say it's okay, you know, the law and the virus and the science are separate kind of things, right? So just because the law says you can now go to the pub doesn't mean it's actually definitely safe to go to the pub. They've just made that decision, and we're a bit cautious. But I think the flip side of that thinking is, if you're in Wales and you see that the guidelines are different and you're following the guidelines, and you kind of go, well, they don't have a different strain of the virus in England, it's the same thing. So if they're telling people in England it's safe, why should we hold off and behave differently, right? And that's kind of the flip side of our attitude, but you can see why people are kind of thinking that. And certainly being in town the other day, you know, it was kind of frustrating if you are still trying to social distance and whatever, because it just feels like a lot of people are just ignoring that.
Yeah, and like, well, I've sort of been quite holier than thou on the fact that we've been following the guidelines, but actually Saturday, when I go down to Swansea, I'm technically breaking the rules there because I'm going to be sharing a car with somebody who's not in my household. So we'll wear masks and have the windows open, which is what's recommended for like taxi drivers and things. It would be legal for me to do it in a taxi, but it's not legal for me to do it with a friend. And then when we get down there, we're going to be sat in the garden, but that's 3 households mixing then. But I can't get there unless somebody drives me, and it's legal if I pay someone to do it, but it's not if I don't.
And that just public transport with loads of people.
But that's exactly the thing. Like, I can go on public transport, but then I'm mixing with far more people, but that's legal. And it's sort of, well, there's lots of mixed messages, and that doesn't really make sense. So I'm going to have to go on this one on my own judgment of, well, I think this is the safer choice. And I trust the people that I'm with, and I know what, because I've been talking to them every day. I know where they've been coming and going, and I know that they've been being sensible. Whereas I don't know what on earth the person sat next to me on the train has been doing. Like, so yeah, I feel much more comfortable doing that. So yeah, it's coming down now to people's judgment more rather than like set guidelines. And actually, I think quite often people don't know what the rules are in Wales.
In terms of my own judgment, I know that cinemas are opening at the end of the month, and I am going to go and see a film. Okay. And you're welcome to join me if you wish. But I think like if people are going to pubs now, I feel like the cinema, you know, they're obviously going to have guidelines of how many people and where they can sit people. Sometimes you go to the cinema and it's quite quiet in the screen anyway. Yeah. So as long as you're sat socially distanced apart from people,
I assume they'll do like they'll actually do sort of allocated seating and they'll be stricter on it and they'll
and maybe I don't go back the first day because maybe there's a bit of a rush. But also I don't know if it's going to be. I'd be quite comfortable
going to the cinema. I think I imagine they'll have hand sanitizer on the way into the screen and it'll be kind of like
I know it's indoors, but it's normally quite kind of high ceilings, kind of spacious.
Well, the only thing that is though, they are air conditioned usually, and actually I think that's sort of to keep projectors cool and keep screen temperature down and stuff, which they kind of have to be. But actually, I think there's a lot of suggestion in the science that air conditioning, depending on the type of air conditioning, isn't great. This essentially ventilation and air conditioning work in one of two ways. They're either recirculating the existing air or they're pumping air or like drawing air in from outside and pumping it in and then pumping air out. That's fine. It seems like that if you're circulating and ventilating new fresh air, that seems that's actually very good for bringing down the infection rate. But recirculating the existing air, which is what usually air conditioning does, because it takes less energy, because then you're recirculating cooler air because you've already cooled it.
If anyone knows how they do the air conditioning at Cineworld Newport, then that would be good to know.
Do let us know. But it may just be that they're not allowed to turn the air conditioning on, and it might just be that it's warm. But that's fine. I often find that I get too cold in the cinema, even in like summer. You go there because it's boiling, but so you're dressed for summer, but then you're sat in an air conditioned screen, and I get quite cold. So yeah, I think like there's lots. Oh god, there's just lots of little ways in which, like I keep saying, but just this whole situation just keeps creeping into every little aspect of reality, and you're never quite away from it, because even when I'm sort of going, I'm not looking at the news, I'm not going to look at social media, it comes up in conversations, or you'll catch something on the news, or like you won't be watching the news but you'll catch something on something else that'll mention it, like, and you're just like, oh, this is exhausting. And I thought it would get easier and easier as it goes on, but actually I'm definitely finding as it's being relaxed that actually I'm finding it more stressful than like not as stressful as it was at the very start, because that was all very scary, but definitely much worse. I think the sort of fear levels went really high, and then they like were quite down and like tootling along down here, and now they're sort of here. I'm like, okay, that's manageable, but not the most fun. So that's where I'm at. How about you?
I'm alright. I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit like, I do feel a bit, like I've said before, I feel like comedy's kind of gone away, and it's starting to kind of come back technically, but I'm not a household name. I'm not someone who's sort of regularly doing big weekend clubs, and maybe the sort of a lot of the sort of pubs and venues that I did gig in regularly aren't back yet. So when I'm actually going to see sort of any sort of regular money come back from comedy could be a long time yet. And in the meantime, I don't know what my future is or what I'm going to be doing really. And my other job, with the best will in the world, if anyone from there is watching, isn't exactly a passion project. It's, it's something
I don't think any of them assume that this is your burning
desire. It's something that's supposed to be flexible for the comedy, but I can't do the comedy. So that's what I'm worried about at the minute, is just kind of just feeling a bit like, oh, I've worked quite hard for something for a decade, and it's
currently it's gone away.
And it's, seems like it's going to be harder again when it does come back. So I don't know about that, but I did want to just quickly follow up on something, because we were talking the other day about the NHS potentially going away and us having to pay for our medicines and things like that, and someone mentioned us on Twitter, our friend Shani, and she was talking about a similar issue, and Shani Thomas, follow her on Twitter.
She's
I don't know what her @, is, but
I think it's Shani Bach, but I'll double check.
We'll put it in the blurb. But and she made some good points about that as well, and it was I mean, we always like when people agree with us publicly, but someone sort of replied saying, "Well, you're all right. You're in Wales, so you've got the Welsh NHS, and it's managed by the Assembly,
Yeah.
which is, I mean,
I get the thinking there, and there's an element of truth in that because basically NHS decisions uh, do get made for Wales by the devolved Parliament, but the pot they have to spend gets decided by the UK government. So essentially, if they don't sort of fund it anymore,
yes,
then there's only so much that the devolved parliaments can do with that. Like if
the
they
NHS
essentially
is privatised, then we don't get to have our
yeah,
own little.
well, I was reading a thing about this again and wanting to cry. But what it's, I think the loopholes they're gonna get this through. I have no doubt that the Tories want to privatise the NHS, none whatsoever. I think like that's always been. They've never really been particularly pro NHS, and over the last few years, particularly the main contenders, several members of the cabinet and sort of quite key figures have all been quite anti-NHS, talking about it not being profitable, etc. But they won't.
As if that were the goal.
Yeah, but what I don't think they're going to do is just overnight say, no, now everybody needs to pay separately for health insurance. But what I think is going to do, and what an article I saw sort of was suggesting, which I think is much more likely, is they will starve the NHS of funds, which they're already doing, and allow currently NHS sort of hospitals and doctors' surgeries and pharmacies, etc., to have additional private patients. And the additional private patients will be given preferential treatment. So everybody who can afford it will get private healthcare. So essentially what will happen is, yeah, you might need a doctor's appointment, but you call up for one and they're like, yeah, okay, you private or NHS, and you get a longer waiting list for the, like, as it kind of currently is, but to a very small scale. But if they won't actually for a very long time get rid of it being entirely free at the point of use, because that's sort of always been the sort of main thing that it's been hung on, is that the NHS will be free for all at the point of use. But what they will do is strangle it to within an inch of its life, so that any health board has to supplement income with private patients, and that will be the main funding source for the whole thing. But it will mean that they have to make it worth people getting private healthcare, so they're going to get more for what they pay for. And then you start down the slippery slope to an American style system where basically everybody has to have has to have private healthcare in order to realistically not be avoiding going to the hospital because they think they might be sick and they can't afford it. But yeah, it's a really bleak looking time, and like the idea of that is scary. The idea of basically, because I wouldn't be able to get insured for private healthcare insurance for any of my pre-existing conditions. So my fibromyalgia, which I've been diagnosed for about 11 years now, that's significantly pre-existing. So any new sort of rules on paying for your own medications, I'd be fucked. And I very carefully not looked at how much my meds actually cost the NHS to purchase, because Shani, who mentioned on Twitter, I'm not sort of outing her private information, she put this on the Twitter thread, but her meds she needs for her condition are £1,100 a month. I could not pay that if that's what my medications cost. So that, and those medications give her an 80% chance of not having symptoms, which basically gives her some sense of life and sort of reality. And the same with my med. The meds I am on are the reason why I can do all the things that I can do. I used to not be able to. It took me about 5 years before I found a drug regimen that worked for me. And if it gets to the stage where I can't afford my meds, then that is a conscious choice that I have to make to stop taking them because I can't afford them. But that is also a conscious choice to choose to become sick again. And that is not a happy thought. That is a thought that fills me with absolute dread. Because not only do I physically feel really ill and tired and exhausted, but it comes with mental health issues as well. And I am scared that that's the way we're going. And the bill that's just gone through, basically has not only said that they're not going to rule out using any part of the NHS as part of any trade deal with any other country, nation, or company, and also that whatever deals they do make won't have to be scrutinised by Parliament before they go through. So essentially, when these deals happen, they'll just be done and dusted, and there'll be nothing we can do about them until potentially 5 years from now, when we can potentially rule in another government. But by then, a lot of the damage will be irreversible. And I don't want to waste 5 years being really ill. They won't do that overnight, but that's the way it'll go. And they'll use COVID has been perfect. They probably want COVID to sort of annihilate the country really badly, so that everybody is convinced by the line, which is this was a disaster we couldn't avoid, and the NHS wasn't up to it, and we had to start doing other things to get other income because you all got sick, you selfish bastards. So yeah, bleak fucking times. So if you live in and around Newport, do book some tickets, because I might be paying for my medication soon. So come to the escape room, spend all your money. Yeah, because I've got to hustle. Because that's the life I'm looking at.
Well, speaking of hustling,
Excuse
like
me.
and subscribe, guys. We're a bit closer to our target of subscribers.
Yeah.
I was only going to say that Twitter guy was wrong. That's all I was going to say.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah. No. But yeah. No.
Oh.
So I was just going to say sorry. It was a bit of a bleak one today, but
Well,
I guess
wasn't that bleak until the end?
Yeah. Well, I
Oh.
think I don't know. I was a bit edgy all the way through. But anyway, so thanks for that, guys. So come back tomorrow for our last daily vlog, and then we'll turn this into something new and shiny. So see you then. Like and subscribe, guys. There's no shame in it.